Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Healthy Marriage Podcast, a podcast aimed at strengthening the most important asset of all families, the marriage. My name is Dr. Corey Gilbert, an author, university professor, licensed professional counselor, a life coach and researcher, and speaker on topics such as gender, abuse, sexual ethics, trauma, and sexuality issues today. I will be your host. In this podcast, we will focus on strengthening marriages, encouraging families, and tools for practical living, such as how to have hard conversations with my kids about hard subject matters. I will demonstrate many of these with my own children via these podcasts. We are sponsored by the Healthy Marriage Inner Circle, a community of families, parents, and leaders that want to strengthen the family, and it all starts with marriages. Join in on the conversation in our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thehealthymarriage. Now let's get into this week's episode. Hey there, my name is Dr. Corey Gilbert, and I'm excited to get into this week's episode. Today I have my son Alex.
Hello.
And we're going to be diving into this book, Living in a Gray World, a Christian Teen's Guide to Understanding Homosexuality. So that will be today and some multiple episodes coming as we walk through this book kind of in dialogue. You went to one of Preston Sprinkle's events recently.
Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it was a 3-hour long sermon.
Sermon?
This is a sermon. But it was interesting to hear from a different person about the same topic that he teaches and different perspectives on the same thing.
Yeah, so we're going to use his book to kind of have a dialogue, about a very, very important topic, a conversation about homosexuality. Do you remember some of the stories kind of there in the beginning? What are some stories that stood out to you, either from the event or kind of introduced in the book here?
He had chairs on the stage where he said, "These are my friends, but I couldn't come." And he gave a story on each one of them. And one of the three of them that stood out the most were first one was probably Eric, where he came out to his family saying, "I am attracted to the same gender."
Mm-hmm.
And his parents were so appalled that they kicked him out of the family, and he committed suicide after living on the streets from being kicked out.
Yeah, that one just rocks you. That's and his whole point. If you look at the top of the book, kind of here, Preston's the author of the groundbreaking book, People to Be Loved. This is such a critical piece of this. This is not an issue. This is real people, real lives, and we've got to be very careful and sensitive how we talk about this. Yeah, this is it leads some to suicide. So a lot of this and a lot of our conversation is going to be, how do we love someone? How do we engage in that conversation? Well, a number of the questions here that kind of Preston proposes is, can I be friends with someone who's gay? How should I respond when my sister tells me she's a lesbian? Should I attend a gay wedding? If two people love each other and they're not hurting anyone else, can't they get married? Does the Bible really say homosexuality is wrong? If people are born gay, then doesn't this mean God made them that way? And the question, are people born gay? I feel like I'm attracted to the same sex, but I have no one to talk to. What should I do? And so we're going to, obviously he tackled these questions in this book, and I highly recommend getting it and walking through it with your child, with your teen. But even for us as a parent to talk through, to know what do you believe, which is really critical. There are no bad questions, but there's a lot of really messed up answers out there. So can you think of something that stood out from Preston's presentation before we kind of dive into some of this?
Probably just the analogy of all the people, of his friends that were on the stage. That analogy, and the him saying that there was a lot that we listened to. It was just all...
Well, he made it real people.
Yes.
It wasn't just some lecture.
Yeah, it was real people.
It wasn't some academic thing. Because you kind of didn't want to come. You were like, I don't want to come to this, but I don't want you to be mad, Dad, or to be sad that I didn't come. And I was so glad that you came. And at the end, you were like, wow, this was actually powerful. There was something deep here. It's people to be loved. Real people. And in the book, he's really good at talking about real people and going through stories. So his main point, and one that we want to really kind of hammer into, is homosexuality is about people and not about some issue. And so being able to be careful about that while we even dive into that. So what about this phrase here? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
That's bull.
It's true.
It's
put nicely.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not at all true.
Right.
Words are just as good, well, not just as painful, but they can do as much damage internally as externally.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that internal isn't very easily measured.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's even worse.
Some people can say things that can tear you down, and they can stay with you for years and
Yeah.
decades. And
Which is a lot of what I do in counseling. Is people have been said things have been said to them. They've been told that there are certain things or something years ago, and then being able to unpack that and break the ties of that are critical. And so that word lifestyle is one we actually want to avoid, right? The lifestyle.
what I thought was funny was when he said, "Don't use the word gay lifestyle because they'll just laugh." And he said, if you turn that around backwards, the straight lifestyle.
Yeah, how are you doing in your straight lifestyle? Yeah, it's kind of dumb. And,
And if someone said that to you, you'd be like, what do you mean?
well, we just assume sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Sure.
the problem, that we're not. The other one that he mentioned was the term homosexuality, being careful with that, and homosexual, just not using those words. And that's a lot of what Christians especially have not learned the vocabulary to use to be respectful. That's a big deal. Do you know what LGBT stands for?
Stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender.
Right. Do you know what transgender means?
They are biologically a male or female, but they decide to transition to the opposite gender.
Well, they don't necessarily decide to transition. They just
Well,
feel.
they have the urge and the feeling
Right.
inside them like they're in a different body, like they
Right.
shouldn't be this gender.
Right. So that's one of the.
That's like where the term tomboy came from. Where
Well, and the tomboy is not even.
well, it's not as extreme as
Right.
the transgender, but
Right. And so we're going to unpack some of that here a little bit. We're also going to look at scripture. Now, the term gay is very important to use in same-sex attraction. I know Dr. Yarhouse, one of my teachers and mentors, that's one of the terms that he really kind of holds on to give a space away from just an identity, beyond just the identity or I'm not. It's this space to be able to wrestle with. And so again, the term same-sex attraction. But we've also found that that's something that some do not really like to have, to be used, I guess you could say. So, one of the statements from Preston here: I'm not too thrilled with the way many Christians have gone about the issue, the term, of homosexuality. And that's kind of why we're doing this too, is we as Christians have done a poor job of addressing this topic well. It's been more abusive. Do you remember that 3%? What was that 3% that he talked about? Those that leave the church.
I know it was it confused me, but I don't remember what it specifically
Okay,
was.
so he was saying that of all those that leave the church, that the majority of these young men and women who are really wrestling with their gender or with their attractions, they leave the church, but it's not because of our theology, because of what we believe.
Oh wait, I think it was because I think they said that it was because there was no one to talk to, there was no one to listen to their problems.
Worse,
They were kicked out.
the way they were treated.
They talked.
You
They talked
did
to their.
not love me.
They talked to their pastor, and the pastor kicked them out.
Sometimes, or anyone else. They shared this internal battle with someone, and they were treated poorly, or just the way we talk about those people or talk down on. It was not a safe place. It always comes back to relationship. So it's way more than any kind of, even our theology, is that relationship is so critical. You know, bring up passages and quote stuff that we don't think through, like homosexuality is an abomination, period. Not helpful. It's not helpful, and does not build bridges for conversation and relationship and growth. So the first question we're going to ask here, that Preston talks about here at the end of this, is: are all types of homosexual relations wrong? More specifically, does the Bible prohibit a loving, faithful, committed gay couple from getting married?
He says that it is wrong, and that's not how God created us.
which is what we're going to get into in this next episode. We'll talk through the theology. What does the Bible say? Because it's not as simple as chapter verse a lot of times, even though we think it is. And the next question kind of follow that up was, but what about two men or two women who love each other, who love Jesus, and who are committed to lifelong faithfulness? Is anything wrong with that? And the truth is we may have an opinion, but what does the Bible say? That's the most critical piece.
Yes.
Because these are people to be loved. How can we love and support and encourage? Because the truth is, like for me, for you, and for me, for everyone else I love and minister to and work with, I want them to have the best life possible. That's the hardest thing, when my feelings or my attractions say one thing. My feelings and attractions tend to not be the best gauge for choices, decisions. So we'll be talking about that coming up as well. And then chapter 2, we're going to dive into that next, into this next section. But what does the Bible say about marriage? Because one of the most critical pieces of understanding this whole conversation is, how do you define marriage? Which I think is a neat place for us to kind of stop and wrestle. So good talking to you a little bit on this, and we'll come back here in a few minutes and do another one on what does the Bible say about marriage.
Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Marriage Podcast. I hope these become valuable resources full of encouragement and challenges as you lead your family well and with confidence, and definitely not alone. Find out more about all that we do at healinglives.com. I want to see your family, and specifically your marriage, thrive. Thank you to our sponsor, the Healthy Marriage Inner Circle. And to access my new best-selling book for parents, go to ican'tsaythat.com to purchase and receive the audiobook for free. It's an honor to serve.